Minecraft 1.18 released on Tuesday, and I'm sure you've seen all the videos going over every single feature in Minecraft 1.18. Well, we're going to be doing that, but I think this is also a good time to remind you of everything in Minecraft 1.17 as well. So, today we are showing you all of the features in Caves and Cliffs, Minecraft 1.17 and 1.18 update. So, first, one of the most obvious things is the cave generation. Now, I'm sure you're all aware that for this to happen, the height was increased downwards by 64 blocks. There are also new biomes in the caves. First specific thing in the caves is that there is glow lichen. Glow lichen generates on the cave walls to light up the caves a little bit, and you can use bone meal to spread it as much as you want. There are now 3 variants of caves. There are cheese caves, which are large with stone pillars. And this isn't the only place that this happens, but this is a good way to display the new mine shaft changes as well, where they can be supported by logs and chains. Then that was the cheese caves. Spaghetti caves, long and more thin. They're still large, as you can see, but they're not cavernous like the cheese caves. Then the noodle caves are smaller, more squiggly versions. Now in all of these cave types, you can find aquifers. You can find water and lava aquifers. Water aquifers are independent of the sea level, unlike rivers and oceans. Most water in Minecraft. In aquifers, you can find magma, and because of ore distribution changes we'll talk about in a little bit, you can find a lot of ores underwater. Now in lava aquifers, each aquifer that spawns below Y0 has a chance of being a lava aquifer instead. Now these help to get the feels like home advancement, where you ride a strider 50 blocks from where you started riding it without getting out of the lava, as you can see. Now another quite obvious feature is that below Y0, it's all deep slate, not stone. From Y0 to Y8, it transitions. So in this deep slate layer, there are patches of tuff, like this, which is a decoration block, and gravel, and also, of course, deep slate. Now deep slate, when mined with a normal pickaxe, will drop cobbled deep slate, but when mined with silk touch, it will drop deep slate. Cobbled deep slate can be used just like this to craft polished deep slate. Polished deep slate can be used to craft deep slate bricks into cracked deep slate bricks into deep slate tiles, just like this. These are the crafting recipes, by the way, in the barrels. Deep slate tiles into cracked deep slate tiles. And with cobbled deep slate slabs, you can make chiseled deep slate. Then you also get the walls of the cobbled deep slate, the polished deep slate, the deep slate bricks, and the deep slate tiles, as well as the stairs and the slabs. Pause the video if you want to see the recipes. In total, there are 19 deep slate variants. There is also infested deep slate, which generates in mountain biomes underground below Y0, and they spawn silverfish when you break them. Now, there are also deep slate versions of all the ores, and along with that, all the other ore textures have been changed in Caves and Cliffs, so they're unique and different. Diamond ore was kept mostly the same, but also changed slightly. Now, the deep slate ores take twice as long to mine as the normal ores, and all of the ores distribution has been changed according to this chart. This chart belongs to Mojang and Minecraft. I did not make this chart, they did. And you can see on some of these it says reduced air exposure or no air exposure. With reduced air exposure, as it says down here at the bottom right, when an ore block is about to be placed, if it is exposed to air, then it has a chance of being skipped instead. Water is not air, so if you go into one of those water aquifers, then you can find a lot of ores because there are more, as they will not be exposed to air. Anything that is slashes on this graph are specific to biomes. For example, the green slashes are emeralds in mountain biomes only. Yellow diagonal lines is gold in the Badlands only, and orange diagonal lines is copper in the Dripstone caves only. Now, moving on, another way you can find ores in caves and cliffs is through large ore veins. Now, this is a copper large ore vein mixed in with granite, and I've removed all the blocks around it so you can see it more easily. I actually found this in a survival world that I had with one of my friends in one of the snapshots. So, that was pretty interesting and fun when we found that. But copper ore veins are copper or raw copper blocks, which we'll talk about in a second, and granite. Then below Y0 are iron large ore veins, which are composed of iron ore, raw iron blocks, and tuff. So raw ores look like this, and they can be crafted into blocks, and the blocks can be uncrafted. The point of raw ores is that copper, iron, and gold are fortunable. You can use fortune on them, meaning that you can get multiple ingots from one ore block. You smelt the raw ore into one ingot, and you can also craft raw ore into a block. Next, let's talk about the lush cave biome. So, in the lush caves, axolotls and tropical fish spawn. All the other fish can only spawn above a certain height, but tropical fish can spawn at any height, meaning they can spawn in the lush caves. Now, lush caves generate anywhere in caves. They have cave vines hanging from the ceiling, and these you can get glowberries from. Any cave vines that have glowberries on them will emit light, and this actually makes it so very few mobs spawn in the lush caves, as now a change in the Caves and Cliffs update is that mobs like zombies and creepers can only spawn at light level 0, where it used to be 7. So in complete darkness, mobs will spawn, but in light level 7 or below, all the way to light level 1, they cannot spawn now, making torches a lot more useful. Now, glowberries can be used as food, and they give you back 1 full hunger stick. And glowberries naturally grow downwards, and that cannot be sped up. However, it can be prevented by right-clicking the tip, the bottom, with shears, as that is a new feature in the Caves and Cliffs update, where if you right-click something like a weeping vine or a twisting vine or glowberries with shears, it will not grow any further. Now, glowberries, when it grows downwards, there is a 1 in 9 or 11% chance that there will be a berry on it. You can also produce a berry with bone meal. In the lush caves, there will be a lot of clay, and there will also be spore blossoms on the ceiling. Now, there are also drip leaves. Drip leaves come in small and big varieties, small drip leaf and big drip leaf. Small drip leaves can only be placed in water and on blocks like clay, which classify as wet blocks. And you can get them from wandering traders or in the lush caves biome. And the big drip leaves you can get in the lush caves biome, or by bone mealing the small drip leaves. And if you stand on them, you can stand on them for 1.5 seconds before they tilt and you get dropped off of them. They were made for parkour. Now, if you power them with redstone, they will not tilt no matter what. And if you throw something like a snowball or an arrow at it, any type of projectile, it will tilt from that. Now, moss. Moss is quite interesting. You can get it from trading, just like this, or in a shipwreck chest. Its color is independent of biomes. So in the Nether, for example, where grass looks really dead, moss will still be this lush green color. Now, if you bone meal it, it will spread, and it will replace stone materials like granite, stone, diorite with moss, and it'll create moss carpets, which can be crafted like this. It'll create azaleas of the flowering and non-flowering variety. These can also be put in pots. And if you bone meal either of these, you will get an azalea tree. An azalea tree will have oak logs and flowering and non-flowering azalea leaves. When they generate naturally, they will have rooted dirt down all the way to a lush caves. Whenever you dig down from an azalea tree, you'll hit a lush cave biome. And rooted dirt you can get by trading, and you can bone meal it to get hanging roots, and you can hoe it to convert it to normal dirt and get some hanging roots as well. Now for our second biome, the dripstone caves biome. You can find more copper than normal in this biome, and you can also find pointed dripstone. Pointed dripstone is actually quite interesting. You can get it from trading as well, and it will deal a lot of extra fall damage when you fall on it. And if you die to it, it will say, name was impaled on a stalagmite. And then if it falls on you, it will deal some damage as well. And both of these are dependent on height. So if this falls on you from really high up, it can kill you instantly. So the death message will be, name was skewered by a falling stalactite. Also, this has some interesting renewability mechanics. So if there is a block of water, then a solid block, then pointed dripstone, then underneath a cauldron, it will fill it with either water, if that's above the solid block, or lava. And if there's water above the solid block, but no cauldron, it will grow down. And if there's a dripstone block below that, it will also grow up from that. You can also craft pointed dripstone into blocks, and you can also get blocks from trading. In the dripstone caves, the blocks make up these giant dripstone pillars, and this is actually an amazing cave that I found while exploring in creative. It's just got so many dripstone pillars, it's insane. Next we have amethyst geodes. They generate at y = 30 and below, and you can get amethyst blocks in the center layer, calcite in the next layer, which you can also get from the stony peaks, which we'll talk about later, and smooth basalt on the outer layer, which you can get from smelting basalt in a furnace. Now, amethyst has 4 stages, and if you mine any of the stages, you will get, with Silk Touch, you will get them. So that's small amethyst bud, medium amethyst bud, large amethyst bud, and amethyst cluster. If you mine the amethyst cluster with your fist, or it breaks naturally from something like a piston or an explosion, then it will give you 2 amethyst shards. If you break it with any sort of pickaxe, it will give you 4 amethyst shards. And if you break it with a fortune pickaxe, you can get up to 16 amethyst shards from 1 amethyst cluster. Now, with amethyst shards, you can craft them back into an amethyst block. You can craft tinted glass, which you can break with your hand, and it will still drop. And it does not let light through, though you can see through it. So it's good for things like mob farms, or if you want to have a window but want to have a dark aesthetic inside of your build. And you can also craft a spyglass. And with that, you can get the advancements, is it a bird? By looking at a parrot. Is it a balloon? By looking at a ghast. And is it a plane? By looking at the ender dragon. Now let's talk about copper. You can get copper ore underground. This is a new ore. You can get extra in the dripstone caves, as I've mentioned before. The copper ingot looks like this. You can get it from smelting raw copper, and you can also get it from it drowned instead of the gold ingot that you could previously get. With copper, you can craft a spyglass with amethyst, like we talked about, and you can craft a lightning rod, which within a 128 block radius on Java Edition will redirect any lightning not made by a trident or command. So any natural lightning, it'll redirect to the lightning rod. And if you have a villager nearby and the lightning does not set any fires, you will get surge protector when the lightning strikes. You can make a copper block, which you can craft into cut copper and slabs and stair varieties. And all of these can be oxidized. They oxidize faster when they're not near other copper. And you can deoxidize them with an axe or when lightning strikes. Now, to wax them so that they never oxidize, you can use a honeycomb, and that'll give you wax on. And you can use an axe to take the wax off, and that'll give you wax off. Now, that's not the only thing you can do with honeycombs. You can create candles as well now. So you can craft that with 1 string and 1 honeycomb, and you can craft it together with any dye to create a dyed candle. There are 17 varieties and 16 dyed variants, as there are 16 dyes in the game of Minecraft. You can have up to 4 candles in a block, and they give off more and more light depending on how many candles you have in that block. You can also place 1 on a cake to create a birthday cake. Now with the new mountains. So, there are new biomes. There are slope biomes and peak biomes. There is the meadow biome, a slope biome, which can be as a plateau or as the lowest layer of a mountain. It will have a bunch of flowers and grass, and any trees that it does have will 100% of the time have bee nests. Then there's the grove biome, which will be the slope of a mountain when it's next to a biome with trees, so like a forest, a snowy taiga, something like that. And it is made up of snow and powdered snow as well as spruce trees. Snowy slopes will be the slopes of a mountain when next to an open biome, like a plains or a snowy plains or a desert, but we'll talk about deserts later. It's comprised of snow and powdered snow as well, and it will be more smooth hills as opposed to the jagged peaks, the next biome, which will be the peak of the mountain when next to cold or moderate temperature biomes. It's made of snow and stone, and it will be cliffs and steep hills. Then the frozen peaks biome will be the peaks when next to cold or moderate biomes. It's made of snow and different varieties of ice, and it will also be smooth hills. However, then there's the stony peaks. This will be the entire mountain when next to a warm biome, like a savanna, a jungle, or a desert. So it will not generate grove or snowy slopes if the stony peaks generate because it just won't have any slopes. That will be the slopes. You can find stone, gravel, and big strips of calcite, like we talked about a little bit earlier. And again, these will be smooth hills. Now, for biome-specific things, we've got mobs and structures. So, hostile, ambient, and neutral mobs will spawn as normal, but each have their own passive mobs that spawn. In the meadow biome, it will be rabbits, donkeys, and sheep, and plains villages. In the grove biome, rabbits, foxes, sheep, pigs, chickens, and cows spawn. In the snowy slopes biome, rabbits and goats spawn, as well as igloos. In the jagged peaks, there are goats. In the frozen peaks, there are goats. And no friendly creatures spawn in the stony peaks. Now, each cave and mountain biome have their own music made by Kumi Tanioka and Lena Rain. Lena Rain also made a new music disc called Other Side, which is just amazing. It's my favorite song. You can find them in Stronghold and Dungeon chests. And you can also play any music disc in a jukebox in the meadow biome to get the Sound of Music advancement. Now, another thing in the new Minecraft mountains is that the hills are now not biome-based. So now you can have big hills and things like that without having to be a specific biome for it. So biomes like birch forest hills and stuff like that have been removed. And additionally, some biomes have been renamed. For these mountains to generate, the height limit was increased by 64 blocks upwards. And if you trade with a villager at the height limit, you will get the Star Trader advancement. And, well, now I just have to say goodbye. That did not take half an hour, I swear. It definitely did take half an hour. Anyway, you can get the Caves and Cliffs advancement if you fall from the height limit all the way to the bottom of your world and survive. Now, onto powder snow, as you just saw I used it. It comes in bucket form as an item, and it can be placed by a dispenser or by you, the player. It can be put in cauldrons, and if you are in a biome where it snows and it is snowing, and there are cauldrons, then they will gradually fill up with powdered snow. Now, when you go in powdered snow, there will be this frosty overlay on your screen. Your hearts will turn blue, and you will be shaking. Any mob that goes in will shake. And the death message is name froze to death. Now, if you wear any leather armor, you will not freeze in powder snow. Or if you do /game roll, freeze damage false. And also, you won't fall in, and you can also climb it like scaffolding if you wear leather boots. This will also get you the light as a rabbit advancement, as rabbits are immune to falling in, along with these other mobs. Now, these mobs are immune to taking damage. These mobs take extra damage. Now, if you leave a skeleton in powder snow for long enough, it will eventually convert into a stray. You can also find giant rivers that are really deep and like in valleys, and they look amazing. You can find some new mobs in Minecraft Caves and Cliffs. You can find the glow squid, which will spawn in complete darkness below Y30 with a stone-like material within 4 blocks below it. It will emit some cool particles. It glows. It doesn't emit light, but shadows and darkness will not be applied to it. And you can get a glow ink sac from it. And with a glow ink sac, you can make a glow item frame and glow signs, which look like this. these make it so that shadows and darkness, they aren't affected. If you use a glowing sack on a sign, then you will get the advancement Glow and Behold. Then the goat. The goat, you can milk the goat with the bucket, you can breed them with wheat, and there is the default goat and the screaming goat, which when a goat spawns, it has a 2% chance to be a screaming goat. So, both goats can ram you from up to 16 blocks away, and they deal 9 blocks of knockback. But the normal goat has a 30 to 300 second cooldown, while the screaming goat has a 5 to 15 second cooldown. They will only ram you if you have been standing still. Also, the screaming goat makes funny noises. The goats can jump up to 10 blocks high, up to 5 blocks wide, and they will take 5 hearts less fall damage than anything else. Also, if you get in a boat with a goat, you get whatever floats your goat. Now, axolotls. They spawn in lush caves, and they die after being out of the water for 5 minutes. You can breed them with a bucket of tropical fish, because they breed with live tropical fish, not dead ones, so you need a bucket of tropical fish. There are 5 colors, and the blue one is a 1 in 1200, or about 0.08% chance to mutate and become blue when you're breeding to axolotls. When axolotls can hunt mobs, so the passive mobs will be fish, squid, and glow squid, so all types of fish like tropical fish, etc. And there will be a 2-minute cooldown on that, so they don't just decimate an entire ocean. And they will also attack hostile mobs like drowned elder guardian, and those have no cooldown. Additionally, if you kill a mob that the axolotl was fighting, then you can get regeneration for 5 seconds. You'll lose mining fatigue if you have it, and get the advancement, the healing power of friendship. You can also bucket an axolotl, the cutest predator. And axolotls will play dead if they get onto low health, and they will receive regeneration for 10 seconds. While they're playing dead, mobs will act like they aren't there. Then, there have also been some changes to world types. So, the amplified and large biomes world types have been updated with the new terrain, and the floating islands and caves world types have been removed. Now, some more technical features. There has been a system of blending implemented into Minecraft, where old chunks will blend with new chunks. Now, this will create an almost seamless blend between biomes and terrain, as well as add new caves and move down the bedrock below your existing chunks. Now, you can also get the light block now, and this light block is an invisible light source that you cannot interact with unless you're holding it. Then there's the marker entity, and this is used for people who do stuff with commands or datapacks or map making, as you can target it with commands, but it's invisible and cannot be interacted with in any way. Then there's the player's sleeping percentage command. If you set the game rule player's sleeping percentage to 0, then only 1 player is needed to sleep. And then anything between 1 and 99 will be the percentage, so 50 would be half of the players, etc. Then if you set it to 100, it's the default, where all players are needed to skip the night. And if you set it to 101 plus, then the night cannot be skipped, and you are forced to play through the night. You can also have shaders in vanilla, so that's things like wavy leaves and water. The anvil length has been increased drastically, and the redstone tab has been reordered. And that does it for all of the things in the Minecraft Caves and Cliffs update 1.18 and 1.17. Thank you for watching, and I'll have new content out soon. Bye!